look back on my marriage, I realized how I was following the pattern of my dad. And I had to learn to be more helpful for Fran. And as I look back on what I did, I'm ashamed of the little bit that I did in helping her in raising the family. And I was always too busy with the church work. And of course my dad, he was always busy trying to earn money, so he was off. The farm was too small really to support us, and so he was off working off the farm.
What did he do?
Well, he worked, they had a PFRA.
What's that?
Was set up, Prairie Farm Assistance, and it helped farmers whose crops were not very good, so they could get a subsidy from the government.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad was one of the fellows that went around and interviewed the farmers.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And well, I guess without that money we'd have been very hard up. But
is this in the 30s or the 20s?
No, this would be in the 40s and during the war.
Oh.
Yeah. But Mother did all the housework. Dad worked outside. And
you all helped.
Dad
right?
made a...
You all helped with the farm work, right?
Well, we all worked outside.
Yeah.
In the barn and on the fields.
What about Aunt Ethel?
Oh, well, she was working with Mother. Yeah, that's right. But it was a different time, you know, when Uncle Steve was born.
What year was he born? Was it 39?
There was a farm sale, a yard sale, I guess you'd call it. So Dad, well, Mother would go down to Young. Then there was a little home there where expectant mothers would go, and there was a doctor there and a nurse, and no hospital. But the mother would go there to deliver her babies. And so Dad took her down and went off to the farm sale. And let Mother deliver Uncle Steve.
Yes.
But that was just accepted, you know.
Yeah, they should change that now.
Fathers didn't go into the delivery room at all, you know,
Yeah.
that wasn't thought of.
Yeah.
This was something the mothers did.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the pattern, you know, that's the mother would deliver the child. Although I actually was closer to my dad than my mother. I don't know why. Mother was always very busy.
Yeah, that's the impression I had of her.
And
She was always busy.
I was bonded with my dad. I never did get bonded well with my mother.
Really?
No. She was a wonderful woman, you know, but she was very busy.
Well, with all those children and only one daughter.
Yeah, and Phil, you see, had bothered with the dust, and they were always having to take him to the doctor.
Did he have asthma?
Mm-hmm. The dust.
Mm.
And then Uncle Dave was, he was very aggressive.
Really?
Your dad?
Really? Never heard this story.
Very aggressive, yeah.
I need to hear this
He's
story.
not so aggressive now, of course, but in
No.
those days he was very aggressive.
So, always competing?
Yeah. So,
You mean you guys would fight? Physically
oh
fight?
no, we didn't fight. No, we never fought.
Oh, he just wanted to be number one like my son Mark?
Yeah.
Ah.
That the men worked outside, and Mother did all the housework. Well, and Ethel, of course, helped.
So what was Uncle Peter like?
Well, he and Uncle Mac used to have some terrible fights.
Mm-hmm.
Mac was kind of a wild man, you know.
Yeah.
Pete was pretty stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the pattern of our home, and so of course when I got married, I expected Fran to do all the housework. And I was busy trying to learn the language.
Was she working as a nurse?
Well, not when we married. She had to step out of the hospital.
Oh, they weren't allowed to. Okay.
Yeah, we were at another station, you see.
Mm.
But the experience there was difficult too, because they sent us to Bonsfora, which was the strongest station in the mission field. But the lady that was running it, she'd been there for 30 years. And
So it had to be her way?
nobody could tell her anything. She had everything organized.
Uh-huh.
Emily did a great job, but it was impossible to work with her as far as trying to do anything different. And so the last winter we were there, they always went out on tour. And you went from village to village. And we had this big group of men. And it seemed to me it was such a waste, You would walk around and do a little visiting in the morning, and in the afternoon you didn't do anything. And you had a meeting at night. So I suggested to her that we go separately. But she wouldn't agree to. So we went out anyway. And that didn't please her at all. So she didn't go out. But poor Fran was left there on the compound. And Emily wouldn't let anybody go up to visit her. She was sitting there alone in that big old house. If somebody tried to visit her, Emily would stop them.
Wow, how evil.
So it was terrible, So that really broke Fran's health down.
Oh,
Yeah.
the loneliness.
So it was very difficult. And looking back now, if I'd been smart, I'd have just worked in agriculture and let Emily do the church work. Because that would have been much better, Of course, I was inexperienced too, I wasn't communicating with her, she wasn't communicating with me. So that was a great difficulty in our situation there. And then when Fran's health wasn't good, I wasn't helping in the house much. I was doing the church work. So it was really the pattern of my father at home,
Now, didn't your father have health problems?
He did in later years, yeah. He had heart attacks. Yeah, and he died in 1964.
He was at a church conference.
Yes, I remember hearing that story and how upset your mother was.
Yeah.
Because he died without her.
Yeah, you see, Mother nursed him for those last few years.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little like Ethel and Uncle Don, That Don was sort of like Dad. He's sort of the boss of the house, and he expects Ethel to serve him. And that's the pattern, you see.
Actually, when we were there a few years ago, he actually did help a bit.
I think in recent years he has,
Yes.
yeah. I think so.
Yeah, he seemed to be a lot better than I remember him.
Yeah.
Well, when she broke her shoulder,
Yeah.
he told me, he said, that's when I learned to cook.
Yeah.
And he said, I learned that I was able to actually vacuum.
Yeah.
What a revelation.
Well, I remember your father as being a very jolly man, very fun to be around.
Yes. Yeah.
And very affectionate and kind, and we'd have sing-songs, and I'd play the piano, and we'd all sing. And we'd get all the little kids, and we'd do you remember this, John? He'd put us in the car, and
Yeah, he
we'd
loved
drive
it.
a couple of blocks to the village, and he'd buy us all candy, and the dogs would come racing behind us barking, and he'd laugh and laugh and say, those dogs are trying to catch us, but they can't catch us. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
Bruno and some other dog.
Kazan.
Oh, Kazan, that's right.
I remembered driving into Zelma
Yeah,
and the dust billowing behind
yeah,
and the dogs chasing with
Yeah.
their tongues out
yeah,
in
Yeah.
this dust.
yeah.
Yeah, well, in his retired years, he was,
Oh, more relaxed, I
helpful.
guess.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember his red chair,
Mm-hmm.
and we would come down the stairs. You know, were you ever there when the farmhouse was still in pretty good shape? Oh, you'd come down the stairs and then it turned around the corner, and it's wood stairs, right? And we bumped down them on our balance. We thought that was so fun.
Yeah.
When you're little, you don't mind this sort of things, right?